Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE's Elimination Chamber for 2015. And, starting off the show with the Elimination Chamber match with the tag titles on the line, I thought was a good way of going. You have the kind of its most unique feel and started with it starting off the show. Now, as for the match itself, I felt that they did a relatively good job with this match. It wasn't all it was cracked up to be. It felt like some of the guys had no idea what they were kind of doing inside of the Elimination Chamber. You did get some good usage out of the chamber, especially primetime players. The Lucha Dragons using the chamber, though I would admit that Kalisto's spots were... They took a while to set up in general, and that was pretty much the main problem with it. I mean, in the end, the spots looked cool, looked good, but they just took a long time to try to set up, and that was pretty much the only knock on that side of it. The whole aspect of the Lucha Dragons, or not the Lucha Dragons, what am I thinking? They got eliminated pretty early on in the match, but the whole aspect of the New Day, still coming out as tag team champs in this one, I felt was a good choice here. And if they are kind of writing off the whole aspect of the of Kid and Cesaro being the #1 contenders and maybe going towards the primetime players here now, I think you could potentially get an interesting storyline out of that. I also like the aspect during the pre-show how, since the New Day helped the Authority, it's like all of a sudden they get these little benefits into the match as well. So you can kind of play off into that, into a storyline somewhere if they want to down the road. Overall, not all it was cracked up to be with the Elimination Chamber match, especially the tag title, with it being the tag team area. I'm glad they at least went for it. I wouldn't mind seeing it again, maybe with some different teams down the road, and maybe a little bit more people with a little bit more experience with inside of the chamber. But it was, in the end, I would say it was okay. It wasn't all, like I said, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, but again, it was a unique thing to the chamber. I'm glad they went for it, and yeah, but all in all, it turned out to just be okay. The Divas title match with Nikki Bella, Paige, and Naomi, honestly, was kind of a sloppy one. It felt like Naomi was a little bit lost inside here, and same with pretty much just all three of them in general. They just seem to be a little bit lost inside this triple threat here. I did like the aspect that they decided to, they played the storyline about how Tamina wasn't allowed at ringside, Brie Bella wasn't allowed at ringside. I liked how they had that put into the match. They had at least one really good spot in there with the powerbomb backdrop. That one came off good, but otherwise, like, the match itself just felt a little sloppy. And also, I feel like in this case, they're kind of missing out on the whole aspect of the heel turn for Naomi as well. This would have probably been a good time to actually put the Divas title on her, but now they still had Nikki Bella end up winning the match in this case. So it kind of, they're kind of missing out on the whole aspect of Naomi's heel turn. They didn't really do anything with it outside of the fact that, it was just another storyline for furthering or continuing on Nikki Bella's title reign here. So we'll see if they're going to do anything else with that, but honestly, I feel like they're missing out on that potential, at least within that portion of the division. But and like I said, this match in general just did not come off all that well to begin with. Definitely a down point to the show in this case. Up next was Cena and Kevin Owens. This was a great match. I like, even though short build of just a couple weeks, they did a really good job with those 2 weeks to build this match, and the match that those two put on was a really, really good one. I liked how they were teasing each other's finishers throughout the entire match. I liked how Kevin Owens came off as that complete brash, arrogant type character throughout the entire match as well. And the aspect of having him go over in this case as well, just it played out perfectly here. I'm glad that was the route that they went with. Cena's definitely been working well with the younger talent, or in this case, kind of newer talent that people haven't seen yet. Kevin Owens isn't necessarily all that young, but he is still newer to the WWE crowd in general there, and I feel like he's been working really well with that talent as of late. And this match was just another notch on that. The match, Kevin Owens looked great throughout the entire match. Cena definitely helped that out. But like I said, in the end, Kevin Owens himself just came off perfectly to his character and came off looking extremely strong throughout the entire match. Good back and forth between the two of them. It wasn't the whole aspect of, Cena gets dominated most of the match and then comes back and wins or something like that. No, it was good back and forth throughout the entire match. I liked how this match just came off in general. They did a really, really good job booking this match. Probably the best match of the night, I would think. And I would have said that about the main event, but I'll get to about how that match finished off a little bit later on when we actually talk about that match. Next up was Neville and Bo Dallas. And these two had a really good feud back in NXT with some really good matches. And, you know, they gave him time here, and they put on a really, really good match here. It's just a solid overall match. You know, with how, they're continuing on the storyline of how like, Bo Dallas was trying to inspire Neville throughout the entire match. I liked how the announcers actually, for once, I actually liked something the announcers were doing. And they played that off really well. The two of them have worked together plenty of times in the past, and they put on another really good match here. Good to see. I don't know if it would have been better off if they had Bo win and continue on with the feud, but I liked the aspect of Neville winning and continuing on with his push, and now they put him in the Money in the Bank match as well. Money in the Bank ladder match for the next special in general, or not in general, but just the next special in a couple weeks here. So, like I said, really good match between the two of them. Solid overall performance for both Bo Dallas and Neville in this case. This brings me to the second Elimination Chamber match for the vacant Intercontinental title. This was a far better one. I'm not gonna lie, this was a far better Elimination Chamber match. I liked the whole aspect that they went with they tried doing something with Rusev there to make it seem like he wanted to be in the match. Even though they were going to take him out because he had a broken foot in this case. But I did like that they at least attempted something in the terms of, even though it was a tweet in some way, but it's like he wanted to be in the match, and they kind of play that off to maybe he will, when he comes back, he'll be going after the Intercontinental title when he comes back. So that was one aspect I liked. The whole aspect of Mark Henry replacing him, I would have liked it if they replaced him with a heel. Replace a heel with a heel in this case. I don't mind Mark Henry being in the match itself, but like I said, this would have been a good spot to replace a heel with a heel instead of replacing him with a face in this case. So not overly disappointed that it was Mark Henry. It just would have probably been better off if they put a different heel inside of there instead of a face Mark Henry in this case. The the spots weren't overly complicated in this match. I felt that they at least booked it. They booked it well. Didn't try to overcomplicate things with the entire match. I liked the whole aspect of when it legitimately looked like they weren't supposed to have Mark Henry come out of the pod, but yet the little glass came out of its holder. The glass of the pods came out of the holder, and then actually, they played off of it and allowed for Mark Henry just to come out of the pod. And they just kind of went with it. I liked that aspect of it. I liked the whole aspect of how they made it look like it was like they made it look like it was a complete jam of the door throughout the entire time. Like, even the guys in the ring, they made it look like, okay, this isn't supposed to be happening, and all of a sudden you just see them all scrambling for roll-ups and everything, and then later on when they're all down, they reveal that Sheamus put his cross in between in the little latch area to jam the door. I liked those little touches that they put into this match. It was something different that they've never really tried with a match, where someone purposefully jams the door. Obviously, they've played off of the jamming door before, but they did it in a different way this time, and I liked how it came off. The aspect of Ryback winning and finally getting a singles title within the company, I thought was actually a really good thing. I like the story that they put in there beforehand to try to make him come off as more face and everything. And that aspect about how he talked to a little kid, saying sometimes the bad guys win, even and how he wanted to try to change that in this case. I like those little aspects that they did to it. They're adding depth to the Ryback character, and it's like the reverse New Day, where New Day's like saying all these things about positive thinking and trying to be really annoying about it, but where Ryback is doing like the positive thinking type feel and doing it in a way that it comes off as actually positive in that sense. So I like that aspect to the character at this point in time. The little quick interview afterwards with him and Daniel Bryan was kind of mad, but not too overly bad. Daniel Bryan did a good job putting him over even more in this case, and then basically them just finishing off the whole aspect before going to the main event match, which was of course Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight title. I liked the promo package beforehand. They did a really good job editing this promo package with the promo that they put with Dean Ambrose in there. I liked the black and white touch and everything that they had put inside there. I really liked that. The match itself was really, really good. They did a really good job putting this match together. My only knock on this match, and it's probably just because you've seen so many finishes like it before, it's like, okay, the referee gets knocked out, and a second after Dean Ambrose hits his finisher, the second referee comes in, and in this case, they count the three. They fully count the 3 counts, and they disqualify Seth Rollins after the fact. Usually, this is a point that, like, okay, multiple referees have to go out there, and you don't, then, you know, like maybe a couple of them get knocked out and it just causes the disqualification in this case, or the first referee kind of comes to, like, midway through the count and calls for the bell right away, causing the disqualification. But doing it, like, the aspect that they've had so many times where a referee's been knocked out and they've had a second referee come in and, you know, count the win, and it just goes. You know, as many times as they've done that for storyline purposes, you know, it just did not come off well in this case of doing the disqualification after the fact of a pinfall already happening. it made it make no sense. It was much like the Raw promo with Triple H and Stephanie and Seth Rollins at the end. It made no sense because you already had on that one. You already had a video come out there basically showing Seth Rollins pushing the whole cameraman thing and setting up that portion of the storyline, and then they come out oblivious to the fact that the video is already out there. This again just made no sense. There's like, usually they need to, if they're going to cause that disqualification, it's like have the second referee get knocked out, or have the first referee in the middle of the count ring the bell and say, oh, there was it's a disqualification. But after the full fact, it just did not come off well in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, it's going to keep the storyline going and cause them to have more matches. Probably another one for the Money in the Bank special. But like I said, the match leading up to how they finished it was really, really good. And then the whole aspect of that Dean Ambrose taking the title after the fact anyways, that's kind of ho-hum. They've kind of done that with plenty of the other titles, so nothing new there as well. Just in the end, I can't really give this match say it was like, oh, this was a great match, because the finish was just stupid. It was bad. It was a bad finish to what was otherwise a really fun and entertaining match to watch. So overall, I would say it was an okay show. It wasn't great by any standards, and the Divas title match was also rather sloppy one to begin with. The first Elimination Chamber match with the tag teams was rather okay. It seemed like some people were lost with inside there, and a couple of the spots just took kind of forever to set up. The other Elimination Chamber match I thought was a relatively good one. They kind of played off of what was going on inside of there and did a relatively good job there. Neville and Bo Dallas I thought put on a really good match. Cena and Owens did put on a really, really good match. And the main event was relatively good, but with just a stupid ending in every sense of the word. So it was a rather okay mishmash of good and bad in this case, and we'll see where they go along with all the storylines going into the Money in the Bank special or pay-per-view, or I think this one's actually a pay-per-view, I'm not sure in this case. And we'll see, like I said, we'll see where they go with Money in the Bank. You have obviously the Money in the Bank ladder match. They're going to do a rematch with Cena and Owens, and they're gonna more likely do something with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins again. So we'll see where they go with everything. And that's my review for the Elimination Chamber special, and I thank you guys for watching.